anime, cartoons, video games, and more. Kitchen Princess is about to begin. Hey, how's it going? It's Cali T here, and welcome to my kitchen. In this segment, I'll be showing you how to make food inspired by video games. On today's menu, our item pays homage to a creepy yet iconic bear who loves nothing but despair and chaos, and it is a Monokuma drip cake from the video game Danganronpa. For those of you who are just simply unaware, Monokuma is the headmaster at the pristine Hope's Peak Academy, a school where brilliant students reside. However, when things get dull, Monokuma just likes to shake things up a bit. I find Monokuma to be super cute and disturbing, but the perfect muse for my creations. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's begin with the ingredients. You will need marshmallows, red velvet cake mix, white frosting, powdered sugar, vegetable oil, shortening, red candy melts, black food dye, and last but not least, eggs. But before we start making anything in the kitchen, you need to wash those hands. Just because Monokuma likes to get his hands dirty doesn't mean you should. Bring out a large bowl and we'll start with our wet ingredients. Start by cracking your eggs. The cake mix that I'm using calls for 3 eggs, 1/3 a cup of vegetable oil, and 1 cup of water. Then mix until everything is thoroughly incorporated. Once that's done, go ahead and add in the cake mix until we have a smooth consistency. Next, bring out a small pan and pour a little oil in it and spread it around to coat the pan. This is so our cake does not stick to the pan. Now you certainly do not need to do this step since it's a little overkill. I'm adding some parchment paper to the pan with little flaps on the sides so that it's easier to take the cake out later. Next, begin to pour the cake into the pan and bang it a little to let the air bubbles come to the top. Then I'm putting this into the oven that has been preheated to 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. Note, because this is a 2-layer cake with ears for later, I made 4 of these cakes. And now while we wait for these to cool, let's work on the fondant. Bring out a microwave-safe bowl full of 1 entire bag of miniature marshmallows. Then pour 1/4 a cup of water over the marshmallows and begin to mix them up until they are evenly coated. Next, we're going to put these mini marshmallows into the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes at 30-second intervals, stirring after every 30 seconds. Be sure to keep an eye on your marshmallows because your microwave could be cooking at a higher temperature. And please be very careful because your bowl will probably be hot. You'll want this smooth consistency with no lumps of marshmallows anywhere in sight. Now bring out a large bowl and pour 2 cups of powdered sugar into a sifter and sift away. Once that's complete, you'll have a snow mountain of powdered sugar. Make a medium-sized well in the middle of the bowl and pour in the melted marshmallows. Then sift in another cup of powdered sugar on top. The reason we want to sift the powdered sugar is because we want our fondant to be smooth with no lumps. And these little lumps are the ones that will get in our way of our goal of a smooth fondant. So toss those. Next, grab a nice dollop of shortening and rub your hands all up in it. This will help your hands from becoming super sticky. Begin to knead the marshmallow and powdered sugar together. And if the fondant is too sticky, add more powdered sugar. And if it's too dry, add a little bit of water to the mixture. I like to make fondant with marshmallows because I find that normally made fondant tastes really icky, and when made with marshmallows, it tastes super yummy! Lay out some parchment paper, and once your fondant has reached a thick Play-Doh-like consistency and it's not sticky, it's perfect. Next, separate your fondant into 2 pieces. I knew I had excess, and that's why there's a 3rd piece here. And add the black food dye to one of the pieces and work it into the fondant until it reaches the color of Monokuma's heart, jet black. Just be warned that the deeper in color you go, aka the more dye you use, especially with black food coloring, you'll typically be able to taste the dye, but because we're making our fondant out of marshmallows, it'll help a little with the taste. Bring back your cooled cake, and because I don't have a cake leveler, I'm using a knife to level out my cake. Then spread a layer of frosting on top and place a second cake that has already been leveled on top. Now, with a scoop of frosting, start to cover the sides of your cake with a smooth, light layer of frosting to to create a crumb coat. Essentially, this will help catch all those rough crumbs around the edge of the cake. Then level the third cake, and with the opening of a small cup, cut out 2 circles from the cake. Next, place a dollop of frosting on top of the mini cake, smooth out the layer towards the edges, add the second mini cake on top, and slice down a little bit off the edge to create the ears. Then add the mini cake ears to the bigger cake like so. I like to keep a handy-dandy reference to make sure that everything is looking good. Add a little bit of frosting where the ears meet the head to secure the ears. And now to make sure that everything stays in place, let this sit in the fridge for about 20 minutes. And in the meantime, let's finish out the fondant. Bring out a hard, large surface like a cutting board, set the fondant on top, and begin to roll out the fondant. The goal is to spread it out wide enough so that it will be able to cover half of the cake. And once it's even and a rather good size, carefully place the black on the left.
No, that's wrong!
Yikes, you're correct! The black is supposed to go on the right-hand side of the cake. I'll be fixing that off-screen later. Nevertheless, peel away the excess and mold the fondant to the cake and smooth it out with anything that has a flat surface. And then precisely cut the extra bits with a knife. And it was this moment when I realized that I did it on the wrong side.
Black is supposed to go on the right side.
Then do the same process with the white fondant. Just make sure that you put the white fondant on the left side of the cake. I'm making an indentation so that it'll be easier to peel back. And finally, the base of the cake is ready. A few finishing touches and we're done. And don't worry if the dividing line looks a little uneven now. It'll be covered later. For now, let's work on Monokuma's face. Bring out the red candy melts and put them in the microwave for about 35 seconds, but keep an eye on it. This smooth consistency is what we're going for. Bring out a hard surface like a cutting board, a picture of Monokuma, and layer some parchment paper on top. I'll be creating a piping bag by cutting a tiny part off the corner of the bag and putting the tip right through it. Then, with your red candy melt in your new piping bag, begin to trace Monokuma's red eye. And clean it up with a toothpick to make sharper points. Then, with some white frosting, outline Monokuma's mouth and teeth. Then, with some white frosting mixed with black food coloring, trace Monokuma's nose, define his teeth, and outline his entire mouth and touch up with a toothpick if needed. And for me, it's always needed. Oh, and don't forget Monokuma's other eye as well as the shine mark for the nose. Next, let it harden in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Now, with the black frosting from earlier, outline Monokuma's head and the dividing line in the middle and clean up with a toothpick if needed. Ooh, looking great! Now it's time for the finishing touches! Using the reference as a guide, begin to place the face objects where you want them, and to make sure that they stay down, put a little bit of frosting on the back of them. Once that's done, it's time to start dripping the cake. With the melted red candy melts, begin by holding the nozzle at an angle on the edge of the cake and begin to squeeze out the candy melt, moving over a little bit while still squeezing to create a nice spacing between drips. Note that the more you push, the longer your drip will be, and the less you push, the shorter the drip will be. And once that's done, ta-da! And there you have it, a delicious red velvet Monokuma drip cake. This super sweet and spongy cake is sure to fright and delight those who eat it. And now it's time to the cutting of Monokuma. I don't think that makes that any better. And even when cut, Monokuma looks just as sinister, if not more so than before. Eerie. Let's see what my sister thinks.
Cake looks pretty good. Also kind of creepy. Pretty gory for a cake. But I like red velvet, so hopefully it tastes good. Yeah, that's good. It's really sweet, but it's not too sweet, but it's just the red melt.
And that's a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. As always, if you have any other dishes that you would like me to try, please let me know in the comment section below and I can see if I can do them. And stay tuned for more dishes coming your way. And hey, if you like this video, please let me know by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And that's it for me. Thank you for spending a part of your day with me. I hope the rest of your day is villainous or victorious.